Get ready for The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's dedicated update show. Events, businesses, and people. Anything and anyone causing a ripple in the community. And now, let's dive in to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dayan Chaaban. You can always join us every single day, all throughout the mornings, afternoons, and evenings here on the Splash Live on a variety of different outlets. Join us on cable television on Comcast, Channel 15, and on AT&T, Channel 99. You can also find us on the web in high definition on our website, CivicCenterTV.com. Just click on our Watch Live page, or there's that small box on our homepage too. You can watch us while you explore our other programming and our program schedule, detailing everything we're going to be playing all throughout the day. Also, you can join us on social media. We're live every day on Facebook, facebook.com/CivicCenterTV15, and on YouTube at Civic Center TV as well. And as you're driving around every morning, listen to us on the radio or throughout the afternoons, as well as you're picking up your kids, going home from work, or just driving around town cruising during the summer. 89.3 Lakes FM and lakesfm.com, your radio home for the Splash Live. And then, as always, we'll have the latest news and updates from around the community, including our weather updates each and every day. And Diana, a slow start to the weather week yesterday with an unfortunate cloudy day and a lot of rain. Looks like it's going to be a lot more of the same in today's forecast. Diana, it would appear that your microphone is muted at this time, so I'll take this over for the moment while we get Diane's technical situation adjusted. Looking today at today's forecast, like I said, going to be a lot more of the same. 65 degrees is your high today, 55 low, so it's going to be a little cooler out there. Maybe put on some longer sleeves today. A cloudy morning with rain and scattered storms throughout the afternoon, but as we get further on into the evening, cloudy conditions outside. You'll be able to walk a little bit later on. Wednesday, it's going to look a lot better than it has all week long. 79 is your high, 61 is the low. It's going to be sunny all day, so a break from the rain, but that live. Thursday, 77 is your high, 55 is your low. Partly cloudy in the mornings, showers in the early afternoon, and then thunderstorms all throughout the evening. That is your forecast for the next few days, including today here in the Greater West Bloomfield community. Of course, you can always check weather.gov/DTX, put in your zip code for even more up-to-date weather all throughout the day, directly from our friends at the National Weather Service and their local office out of Detroit and Pontiac. Taking a look at all that's making news today on the Splash Live. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Making headlines on this program today. The West Bloomfield Township Board recognized a group last night at the Township Board meeting that is behind the restoration of this peace memorial that you're seeing on your screens on CivicCenterTV.com, on our YouTube and Facebook pages as well. We'll give you the details on the great story behind this, as well as a really interesting tidbit from that restoration from this gentleman, Bert Green, one of the two men involved in restoring that Veterans Memorial. The City of Sylvan Lake is installing speed bumps in order to curb excess traffic that's coming through, detouring from the Orchard Lake Road construction. Why those are being put in and where you're going to find those speed bumps in Sylvan Lake coming up. In addition, West Bloomfield Park's getting ready to have a grand reopening of West Bloomfield Park's Connect Their Senior Center. New location, big celebration coming up in just a little bit over a week. Kailyn McMahon will join us to talk about that celebration as well as all that's going on at West Bloomfield Park's Connect. Rain delays on Monday causing Gino's pre-Dream Cruise car show to move later on in the week. With the rain coming in, that's going to be moving into the middle of the week. We'll give you all the details on that a little bit later on in the show. Plus, plenty of fun and excitement at the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society all throughout the rest of the summer and as we get through the fall. Gina Gregory, the president of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society, will join us to discuss all of those events. Speaking of fun events in Keagle Harbor, the Keagle Harbor Block Party returns for its final edition of the summer this Friday, August 18th. Give you all the details on the food, the music, and the fun at this week's event. Plus, in Oakland County news, pedestrian crashes are on the rise. Dayan Chaaban will explain what this trend looks like and why law enforcement and others believe that these pedestrian crashes may be on the rise at this time. Plus, how you can win a classic car at this year's Woodward Dream Cruise, courtesy of Detroit Public Radio. We'll give you all the details on that, as well as what to look out for at this year's Woodward Dream Cruise as thieves of late targeting cars at the Dream Cruise. What you should be on the lookout for and what these thieves are attempting to do at the Woodward Dream Cruise. We'll give you the details on that. Plus, in more news on the fun side, Clausen Fest in Oakland County expanding outward a little bit further due to expected high turnout. We'll give you all the details on how further out it's going to expand, all the fun that's going to be happening there later on. Dayan Chaaban will give us the latest news and information. That's all that's coming up. Stay tuned. You're watching and listening to The Splash Live.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy, and if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dayan Chaaban. Really cool story. We've talked about this before on the program. This isn't exactly new news to the community, but there's been this peace memorial at what's going to be a new location of a Chaldean cultural center here in the township of West Bloomfield. It was recently restored by two gentlemen who, in the process of that facility being transferred over to the new cultural center and going through its initial construction and changes, they discovered this peace memorial that was installed decades ago by the Walnut Lake Women's Club on the site of the old Walnut Lake Elementary School. And rather than letting this go to the wayside, they talked with the new owners of that property to say, hey, can we restore this memorial and bring it back to its old glory? It's dedicated to our veterans, to peace, and to all that have served our country. And it was really a point of unification in our community. They agreed to it. They were initially going to tear that down and donate the stone from it to West Bloomfield Township for historical purposes, but instead said, hey, go ahead, you two. And those two individuals are Bert Green and Steve Kay. They spoke at last night's Township Board meeting where the board had recognized them for their restorative efforts in this case. Told a really cool story, too. Bert Green told a really cool story about them trying to bring the flag that was on that pole down and what happened when they tried to do that. Really cool story. Let's take a look at that, Calvin.
So there were two things that happened. Steve and I had no idea that the site had been purchased and that the Chaldean Cultural Foundation was going to redo the site. And when I called Debbie, she goes, your timing is incredible because they were about to knock this thing down and donate the granite stone to West Bloomfield. So it was really serendipity in terms of the timing of when Steve and I did this. When we cleaned it up on that Sunday morning, we had no idea that within a week or two it was maybe going to be demolished. So on the site, I don't know if there's a picture there, but there was a flagpole behind it. And so while we were cleaning it up, I ran across the street to the Ace Hardware and we bought some spray paint and some things to fix the fence. And I bought an American flag. Right. And the rope was still still attached to this flagpole from the 1970s. So I went to raise the American flag, and Steve was recording it. And when the flag got to the top of the pole, the rope snapped. And it should have come crashing down. But instead, the rope tied itself around the flagpole and made a knot. And to this day, the flag is flying. You can drive by on Walnut Lake Road. And the cord, the rope is broken.
It was a windy day, and it was just, for some way, they were like shining down upon us.
We don't know why, but the rope is still there. And we'll conclude by reading the inscription, which is on the memorial. And we hope on November 11th, either formally or informally, Veterans Day 2023, to have a rededication ceremony. We don't necessarily need the township's help, but we're going to put something together and invite our neighbors and friends and have a little ceremony there.
Yeah, Burt Green and Steve Kay, the two gentlemen you saw on the screen, recognized for their efforts in restoring this memorial at last night's Township Board meeting. You can watch that full meeting and the full dedication from that item on the Township Board's agenda last night on CivicCenterTV.com. And always, you can join us for our daily meeting replays at 1 p.m. the day after those meetings, and throughout the weekend, beginning at 9 a.m. in chronological order for the week on CivicCenterTV.com. Really cool story, Dayan, there about that flag, raising that flag up the pole, using the same rope that's been on that flagpole for all these years, as this memorial has been covered with ivy and with branches and other debris over the years. It snapped, but kept that flag around. And now you got to beg the question: Do you let that rope run its course and the flag basically chooses its own retirement, or do you keep it as it is? What a great story from last night's Township Board meeting.
Tyler, that's definitely not a coincidence or luck that the rope was still tied there. I think it was just meant to be. And I think it was just meant to be there. So indeed, it is a great story, and it's a great thing that they're doing. It's a great effort also between the Chaldean community for them to keep it there and allow these gentlemen to restore it and keep it there. And the fact that the West Bloomfield recognizes them, that's just great. We hope that everybody joins them as they celebrate it. So I think that's just an amazing story. It symbolizes how we all value what everybody has done for us, what our military has done for us, and if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have been here.
Yeah, Chaldean Cultural Foundation taking over that property. Going to build a new community center there. Really cool project that they're putting in there. And from the description that the Township Board had said last night at their meeting of this whole story behind discovering this memorial, having it be restored, and the conversations between the community, the Chaldean Cultural Foundation and the township, as well as these individuals, it seemed like when this was brought to their attention, these two wanted to restore that memorial. The Chaldean Cultural Foundation could not have been more excited and more supportive of that. They love the idea of having this historic memorial built by the Walnut Lake Women's Club decades ago, staying on that property. And again, as Burt Green had mentioned in that clip, November 11th, they're going to be doing a rededication ceremony for that event. We'll do our best to be out there and get some footage as well. Really cool story. In Sylvan Lake, still adjusting to the Orchard Lake Road construction as motorists using city streets in order to detour around that Orchard Lake construction. That's causing some issues on city roads. And so Corey O'Donohue, the chief of police in Sylvan Lake, the director of public safety, has announced that they are going to be installing 2 speed bumps. Those speed bumps are going to be located on Beverly Street in Sylvan Lake in order to curb traffic driving through the streets at high speeds, trying to get around that Orchard Lake Road construction traffic that is continuing at this time and will be for another couple of months as they wrap up that project out on Orchard Lake Road between Commerce Road and Middle Belt in Keego Harbor and in Sylvan Lake and part of Orchard Lake Village as well. The police department is also saying they're going to be deploying more traffic enforcement during rush hour traffic in the mornings and in the evenings throughout the remainder of this period to do better enforcement of these detours, maintaining that if people are going to use city streets, that they are at least being respectful of the speed limit and of the safety of the people in those areas. That being said, Sylvan Lake, much like neighboring cities in this traffic zone, in this construction zone, are encouraging those that are driving down Orchard Lake Road to mind the traffic, stay with it, and embrace the delays instead of using city streets that are not meant for that level of high traffic, nor the speeds that detouring traffic often goes at. That's why these speed bumps are in place. And of course, in the neighboring city of Keagle Harbor, a traffic order is in place, making it against the law in the city of Keagle Harbor to drive through city streets as a cut through from that traffic. You will get ticketed going through Keagle Harbor and Sylvan Lake. You're going to encounter these speed bumps. So one way or another, you are going to end up with a little bit of a detour and slower traffic either way. So might as well stay on the main road. And from all indications we've had, other than those congestion points during rush hour, where it's going to be busy one way or the other, traffic or no traffic, it's been a pretty smooth ride out there most of the day on Orchard Lake Road. Something to keep in mind. More information can be found on sylvanlake.org, their city website. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. On the other side, seniors rejoice as West Bloomfield Parks Connect set to have its grand reopening in a brand new location. Kailyn McMahon from West Bloomfield Parks will join us to discuss all the details on their new facility and their grand reopening ceremony and events coming up next on the Splash Live.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Many people are feeling overwhelmed and struggling with mental wellness these days. So be kind to your mind. Give yourself permission to breathe. Share your feelings. You are not alone. Have hope. Talk to a Stay Well counselor for free confidential help 24/7 through the COVID-19 hotline. Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft alongside Dayan Chaaban. One of the favorite locations over the last several years since its original opening at its location at the Orchard Mall, a previous location at the Orchard Mall, has been West Bloomfield Parks Connect. Now, over the years, the COVID-19 pandemic, other issues arising, they had to close down that location and had spent a couple of years looking for a new location. They have that new location set. They're all ready to go, and some services already underway at the new West Bloomfield Parks Connect location on 14 Mile Road and Farmington in West Bloomfield Township. They have a great event coming up in just a little bit over a week. Wednesday, August 23rd from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., a ribbon cutting ceremony followed by an open house from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., open to the entire community. Joining us to talk about their new location, all the fun and events that happen through West Bloomfield Parks Connect all throughout the year is Kailyn McMahon, the Senior Services Manager with West Bloomfield Parks. Kailyn, thank you for being with us.
Hello, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here to talk about Connect and our senior services through WB Parks.
Yeah, really exciting time for West Bloomfield Parks as you're reopening West Bloomfield Parks Connect in an actual physical location, its own solo location. Over the last year or so, nearly 2 years, those services have been restored at the West Bloomfield Parks Recreation Activity Center, which was a previous location for a lot of these senior services in the past. But there is a great need in our community to have a dedicated area, a senior center of sorts, for these different individuals to go for recreation, for socializing, for events and other services. So tell us about just how big of a step this really is to have a new location that you can set West Bloomfield Parks Connect and have those services under one roof.
Absolutely. It's a great big deal. We have a very vibrant community here in West Bloomfield. Our total population, 65,000 plus residents, and of those residents, about 23% of them are aged above 65. And of that whole population, 70% of them are 15% of them are aged above 70. So we have quite a big population of seniors to serve. We started in about 2019 to open the Connect Senior Center in West Bloomfield and Orchard Lake Mall. We, of course, continued to program throughout the pandemic. We really rise to the occasion. We continue to do that. The spaces were few and far between. We lost an opportunity to go to a nearby school last summer, but we never put our heads down. We just kept looking for space and looking for a way to keep programming. We're happy to finally be opening our doors. Since our pilot programs have started at the end of May, the last day in May, we've seen over 1,500 seniors utilize our services at our new location. So we're very excited to open our door to the public and to the seniors who are ready to come socialize, have some fun, and find a new activity to engage in their wellness and well-being.
And Kailyn, this was something that prior to its original location at the Orchard Mall, this was something that had been in high demand from the community to West Bloomfield Parks, to the Township Board and other entities in the community for quite a long time. So not only opening Connect a few years ago at the Orchard Mall and having those programs continue to persist throughout the pandemic and other situations that did arise, it is a really big deal to have this back and ready in the community, and something that seniors have been clamoring for a long time in West Bloomfield.
Yes, absolutely. There's definitely a demand for vetted services for seniors. You can see that on our local level here in our township. You can see that in our county and Oakland County level, where they've been trying to enrich the lives of seniors as well, making specific funding available for senior centers to meet the needs of seniors. And then as far to say as the state level as well, you can see the state of Michigan rallying right now to support community centers and senior endeavors, which of course go hand in hand when you are working with a community full of seniors. So we're seeing, it's special to me as a senior services manager to see so many people finally becoming educated about how to engage seniors, why they're important. They're definitely a huge part of civic engagement and community engagement, and to keep them safe, healthy, and socialized is such a huge, important part of community, and we're happy to do that.
And so tell us about this new location. You're at 14 Mile Road in Farmington in West Bloomfield. That's in the complex where the Bush's Market had been. It's in the old Pet Value Store location in West Bloomfield in that complex. Why this location ultimately as the final place for Connect? What about this location was perfect for the programs you need, for the space that you need to have Connect Center be exactly what you want it to be?
Sure. Well, first of all, it was available. So this location has not been leased, I think, in almost 3 years. We had boots on the ground for a little over 2 years trying to find the right space with the right price point and the right amenities for our seniors. Of course, we have our long-term plans of building up a community center and expanding our location here at the RAC, but we needed to find something to meet the needs of our seniors in the interim. So this space really provided some square footage, the least amount of remodeling and funding that you would need. It was pretty much ready to be moved into. And then in addition to that, we have some great community sponsors and neighbors in the plaza who just make it a desirable place, because based on our partnerships and the way that they interact with the community, we figured we would be great neighbors.
And in terms of the services that you provide there, how does having that space allow you to expand those services out even further? Because being in the RAC, there's only a limited amount of space. There's plenty of other work going on there. It is a central business office for West Bloomfield Park. You have the Nature Room there. You have outdoor spaces that are used by the park's naturalist and other events. So having a dedicated space, does that help expand the amount of programming you can provide, the variety of programming you can provide to seniors?
Absolutely, and not just for the seniors as well. For our community at large, we are seeing people are coming out now that this space is available and asking the question, can we do our blood drive there? Can we meet here for a diversity event? What can we do to maximize this space and community use? So while we are eager to program our holiday luncheons and our senior-centric program load and events, we're also very excited to be in the community where, in general, we have a space that we can all partner together and utilize. It's been a breeze working in this space compared to where we've been in the past year. We all have dedicated workspaces to work at as far as our staff goes, which is something that we might not have had a year ago. And we are excited that the seniors have a place where they can come and have a cup of coffee, and really cultivate the connections that we ignite by just having the programs. For having a space that allows them to expand on those connections, we are just so thankful.
Yeah, and that's really what is arguably the most important part of having a space like this, is a dedicated location that is reliable and available throughout the majority of the week for these seniors to go out and socialize. We know that from the throes of the COVID-19 pandemic, that socialization, that loneliness, that isolation that so many of us had felt was really taking a heavy toll on seniors. So having this space available now, being back in this space, some that have returned to connect on a regular basis from the previous location, or we're just excited about having the space back. What's the response been like so far from the senior community toward parks?
It's been emotional. I try very hard to remain professional, but I am wrapped up in the loving arms of seniors all of the time. I think that we experience a unique situation in that we weren't only truncated by the pandemic, but the loss of our senior center following the pandemic. So right when we were on the cusp of getting out of it and getting back to socializing with each other, we lost that. And that we didn't have the space any longer. And so it really kind of put a pin in some of our plans and our efforts of socialization. But the excitement surrounding this opportunity right now, you can hear it roaring when you're in the building. The seniors they're excited. They have a safe space to land for a couple of years.
Joining us on the program is Kailyn McMahon, Senior Services Manager at West Bloomfield Parks. You can find more information on Connect, their senior center and senior facilities, through West Bloomfield Parks at wbparks.org. Their grand reopening open house going to be on August 23rd. The open house is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. They'll have a ribbon cutting ceremony at 9:30 a.m. that same day to celebrate the grand reopening of West Bloomfield Parks at its brand new location. Kailyn, tell us about this open house event, how people can get involved, and what they can expect when they come out to see West Bloomfield Parks Connect on its grand reopening day on August 23rd.
Absolutely. I'm most excited about the open house event to get the seniors in this space. We will have over 15 tables showcasing all of our senior services programs and activities. And I shouldn't say all of them. It's just a taste of what we have to offer. We're very excited to have partners like the library or the township and our local Triple Area A coming to support us and to provide resources for seniors. In addition to that, if you're a senior and you're listening to this, you're going to want to stop by because there's many raffles and giveaways to be had. We have over $100 valued gift basket for just popping by. So if you come by and see all of the things that we have to showcase, you could be a big winner. Addition to that, we're raffling off several bus passes for free transit rides throughout the community. In addition to that, we are raffling off a free membership or free membership renewal. So there are lots of opportunities to get some perks if you come down, come between 11 and 2 and see all that we have to offer, have a little treat, and check out this new community space.
More information on Connect can be found at wbparks.org. Go over to their services and select Connect on their website for plenty of more information. And of course, join them at their open house Wednesday, August 23rd, 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. at West Bloomfield Parks Connect, their new location at 14 Mile and Farmington Road in the same complex as Bush's Market. It's at the old Pet Value Store location in West Bloomfield Township. And Kailyn, for those that may be watching or listening and have just heard of Connect, heard of this local senior center and activity center for the first time, tell us about some of the different activities and other services that are available through Connect on a day-to-day basis that seniors in our community can tap into.
Sure. We have lots of great programming. Our trips are #1 in demand in West Bloomfield Township and surrounding areas. As well as on the day-to-day, you could pop in and play some table tennis or ping pong. We have open game room where you can come in and just socialize with your friends, bring a game of your choice. We have mahjong, knitting, art classes, bingo, veterans groups, you name it, we are here to program it. We are trying our hardest to have something for everyone and to not have a reason to turn anyone away.
Well, we're excited to join you out there on the 23rd to celebrate the grand reopening of West Bloomfield Parks Connect, and hope that you also join us at home out there on that day as well. 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. at their new location, 14 Mile and Farmington Road in West Bloomfield Township. And as always, more information can be found on wbparks.org. Kailyn, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks so much. Have a great one.
You as well. wbparks.org, the place to go for all the information on senior and other events and activities all throughout the West Bloomfield Township area all year long. 365 days a year, they have something going on in West Bloomfield Township. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. Plenty of more news and information to get to after that break. Stay tuned. You're watching Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Ronnie started doing prescription pills at the age of 15, and by 19, he died. If your child is struggling with drug use, try not to be too proud to reach out for help. Don't be worried about what the neighbor will think or your family. Just get your child the help they need. Sometimes it's the hard road to take, but the hard road is nothing compared to living with the fact that your child is no longer with you.
There's hope and help at drugfree.org.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft, alongside Dayan Chaaban. Still looking out for a stolen vehicle out of Orchard Lake Village, reported last week Friday by the Orchard Lake Police Department. They reported a 1979 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am had been stolen from a residence in Orchard Lake, just off of Old Orchard Trail and Willow Lane. This is a unique vehicle. Got a lot of different things you can see on this vehicle that would make it stand out. If you see it throughout our local area at any time coming up, you see that iconic orange Phoenix on the top of that hood. That is a dead set giveaway for this vehicle. Also has T-tops, red velour interior, as well as some black lining on the inside of those doors as well. Plenty to be on the lookout for. The license plate, which is covered in this picture, but has been identified by the police department as being a license plate BAJ485. That's what they're looking for from this vehicle. You can see the black and red interior there, the Phoenix on the inside of the door, just under what looks like the window handle there in this vehicle. This is, again, a 1979 Pontiac Firebird. Be on the lookout for this red velour interior, the red interior over the steering wheel as well. A classic car, a beloved classic car from a family in Orchard Lake. On the lookout for this vehicle, stolen from their home over the weekend. Any info that you may have that can lead to them finding this vehicle and hopefully bringing it back to its home in Orchard Lake, please contact Lieutenant Jeff Gomez at 248-682-2400, extension 211. Lieutenant Gomez, 248-682-2400, extension 211. Or if you have other tips and information, please send an email to policedetective@cityoforchardlake.com. policedetective@cityoforchardlake.com. Dayan, we'll have more similar news on this sort of front later on in the program, kind of at the county level, but this has not been an uncommon issue in our local area as we approach the Dream Cruise later on this week, and we're in the thick of Dream Cruise season here in Oakland County.
That's true, Tyler. It's it's not only happening in our county, it's happening everywhere. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this as we go forward in the episode, but there also has been an incident in North Carolina with people trying to transport. So because the Dream Cruise, there's a lot of people coming in from out of state, and unfortunately one of the a group of people having Ford Mustangs were also subject to car theft. Unfortunately, some of the cars were not able to be retrieved as they were coming into Detroit, but that's a very unfortunate event. So whoever's participating should try to be just a little bit more careful with your cars. I know you cannot prevent it, but as careful as you can be. And we will talk about it later, as we said.
Yeah, harps back on sort of that saying we hear all the time, particularly when it comes to anti-terrorism. Certainly at the airports, you hear it all the time. If you see something, say something. If something looks suspicious to you out there, not a bad idea to call the non-emergency line of the local police department, or worst case scenario, 911, if you think it's an immediate emergency in that local area, as we're seeing a rise in some of these car thefts, particularly classic cars, not just in Oakland County or this particular case in Orchard Lake, but areas throughout Michigan and around the region at this time in the U.S. And some other news, on Monday, it was scheduled to be the pre-Dream Cruise car show annual event at Gino's Pizzeria and Restaurant in Keego Harbor. Unfortunately, the rain knocked that event out. Probably a good idea with a lot of convertibles always showing up to this event. Classic cars, you want to protect that paint job on there. And so in doing so, they postponed the event. It's going to continue on Wednesday at Gino's Pizzeria and Restaurant, as well as in the parking lot of Santiel Hall off of Cass Lake Road in Keego Harbor. Mind the traffic, get out there. Hey, it's a little bit of a Woodward Cruise experience out on Orchard Lake Road. If you're walking down there and patronizing those businesses, you'll probably see some classic cars that really only have one way coming from West Bloomfield and other areas to the south. Only really one way to get there to the Gino's pre-Dream Cruise car show. That's from Orchard Lake, so a great experience. You can walk down there and enjoy the vehicles and participate with your vehicles as well. The event will happen from 5 p.m. until dark on Wednesday. Looks like it's going to be sunny all day and all evening, so should be the perfect day for this pre-Dream Cruise event at Gino's. Music, dash plates, and trophies are available for participants in this annual car show. A fun late summer tradition in Keego Harbor is going to continue. The rain yesterday and the rain today not going to stop the pre-Dream Cruise activity in the heart of the lakes. Again, Gino's Pizzeria and Restaurant, their 26th annual pre-Dream Cruise car show happening now Wednesday, 5 o'clock until dark in Keego Harbor. And Gino's, of course, on the right side of the road as you're heading north down Cass Lake toward Waterford in Keego Harbor. We'll take a break on the Splash Live on the other side. Not only fun events happening in Keego Harbor, but really all throughout the community and all surrounding the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society throughout the rest of the summer and into the fall. President Gina Gregory from the Historical Society will join us to discuss those events and more. Coming up next on the Splash Live.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Hey guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. One day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving.
I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew a girl so smart, so responsible, she must be a keeper.
And now, back to The Splash, live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft, alongside Dayan Chaaban. Well, plenty of local history here in the 4 communities in Greater West Bloomfield, and one organization is centered on organizing that history, maintaining that history, and spreading that history to the next generations ahead. That is the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society, with open house and other events, exhibits, and presentations all throughout the year, including plenty of really cool stuff coming up this fall. Here to join us to talk about these upcoming events, exhibits, and presentations is President Gina Gregory from the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. Gina, thank you for being with us.
You're very welcome, Tyler. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you this morning?
Good.
Yeah, glad to have you on. There's a lot going on at the Orchard Lake Museum and through the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society all throughout the fall. This is something that hasn't necessarily been something new in the past months or even past year at the Historical Society, but you've expanded your open houses. They used to be once a month. Now they're several times throughout the month, and not just on the weekends, but also some dates during the week as well, available to residents to explore the museum and attend some of these open house events. So speak to us about the expansion of these open houses, how this really came to be, and what those provide to the community.
Sure. We're open on the 3rd Fridays, and then the 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th Sundays, except when we have an event somewhere else that weekend. So we did this when we reopened in fall of 2021. We knew that our museum is something that people say, oh, I'd like to stop by, but you weren't open. So it's pretty hard to plan your life around once a month, but once almost every weekend is certainly more helpful. And also that we were, so we thought that we could man that as a community to have that service available, and also that our museum had enough things in it that were interesting to look at that people would like to see. So that's been proved helpful. It's also been interesting that people now drop off more donations as well. So we have plenty of more donations all the time, which is great. So we run those as well as other, as you said, we have a program monthly, and then a themed open house on the 2nd Sunday monthly too.
Yeah, and one of those that's coming up is on September 14th. That's a Thursday afternoon from 1:30 to 2:30. It's not an open house, it's a tour of the Orchard Lake Museum. But what's great about that particular event is you're not just exploring it as an interested resident, you're exploring that with a docent from the Historical Society that has knowledge of all these different artifacts from across the 4 communities and surrounding areas in that museum. So speak to that event and why that kind of gives residents a different look at this local history that is available in droves all throughout the year at the Orchard Lake Museum.
Sure. This is the first time we've done this, to partner with the West Bloomfield Parks to provide a docent-led tour through them. We did that thinking that different people would see the program and might be able to take opportunity to use that chance to check out our museum. So we're hopeful that it's successful, and if it is, then we'll repeat it. It's just a different way to do the same thing. So that's good.
Yeah, some of my favorite events with the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society are these presentations that you put on. We have recorded a couple of them in the past. We have one that has gotten great response, the restoring of 2690 Pine Lake Road, that very unique blue roofed house. Some have called it the Smurf House. You did the presentation on that with the Historical Society several months ago. That's available on CivicCenterTV.com. Another really interesting one coming up in late September, Monday, September 25th at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library in their meeting room. 7 o'clock event where history and genealogy meet. Professional genealogist Judy Munn will be sharing her perspectives on history, on artifacts, and those genealogical connections between people of these communities, these artifacts, and those living in the present and in the future. Tell us about that presentation and the unique perspective that Judy's going to bring to our community as she presents this at the library.
Well, looking at life through a genealogist perspective is interesting. It may seem boring, but as she says, it's, where history and where the people are. People are more than their birth, marriage, and death dates. So she goes through that and does a very good job. We had her for our annual meeting and thought that the general public would enjoy hearing her at the library. So we're real pleased and excited to have her with us then. We'll also be having a September open house on the 10th with antique saw collection. And Jerry McManus has a great collection that he's put together over the years and is very knowledgeable about his collection. So stop by then. It'll be outside and with his saw collection.
Yeah, we hear all the time also on another front about in history classes, we've all learned about the Underground Railroad, and it's a really cool story of how enslaved people were able to escape that enslavement in the South and eventually escape to the North in the U.S. or into Canada. And part of that Underground Railroad ran through the Detroit area. But what many people don't know is part of that Detroit area segment of the Underground Railroad actually ran through the greater West Bloomfield community. You're going to be having an event, the Underground Railroad Flight to Freedom Tour and Lunch. That's happening Thursday, October 19th, 10 a.m. to 1:45 p.m. to talk about the experience of the Underground Railroad traveling through the Detroit area, including in our community. Tell us about that event. And another one is you're partnering with West Bloomfield Parks on for transit, but giving a really unique perspective too on that local piece of history that has huge implications in American history.
Mm-hmm. So we'll be taking advantage of the First Congregational Church of Detroit's program. Certainly they have, I think they have real solid evidence that they were involved with that directly. The thing about the Underground Railroad is it was supposed to be secret, so not too much was written down about it. So what happened through here, we feel we know, but to find it in writing, we don't know really. But that's not to say that it didn't happen. But so this program will be to experience their Flight to Freedom, which is a storytelling reenactment of the passage to freedom, then with lunch after, and then certainly the transportation with that. So we're looking forward to that. I have never been there.
You can find more information on that event at gwbhs.org. And you can also register for it. Registration is going to be required, particularly for transportation through West Bloomfield Parks, wbparks.org. Go over to their events page and scroll over to October 19th. That's a 10 a.m. event on October 19th to get more information and to register for the event as well. And Gina, people love the natural areas of our community all throughout the greater West Bloomfield area, in West Bloomfield and in the Tri-Cities. In fact, people move here for the natural areas and for those recreational areas. So a really fun thing people can experience too, if they haven't already, is go to the Orchard Lake Nature Sanctuary and get a tour from naturalist Carol Fink through the Historical Society. That's happening again in October, Sunday, October 22nd from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Tell us about that and the sort of way that naturalist Carol Fink is able to connect history to nature all in one presentation.
Well, she talks about the history of that property, which is an interesting one. And then as a naturalist, she can also then pivot and share her perspectives that are available that day of what we see with nature and the transition of the seasons and our connections to nature. She does a great job with that. People enjoy it. So it's a good walk in the woods with a guide. And I'll also pivot back to our October open house. We like to feature people's personal collections. So we're having antique saws in September. And then in October, we're going to have a Mrs. Butterworth bottle collection. One of our members has a unique collection of syrup bottles where they're all, she's got a collection of them that where each one is different. She's got about 30 of them. They look pretty similar, but there's little differences between them. So it's fun to see that and see why she collected them and what that means to her, and a way for people to connect with each other, neighbor to neighbor.
You can always find more information on Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society events, including their open houses happening on the 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th Sundays of every month, as well as the third Friday of every month from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. gwbhs.org. Also plenty of more information on how you can help them out, become a member, become a sponsor, or even submit some of your own pieces of local history through their Collecting Memories initiative as well. Gina, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we let you go, any other upcoming programs we should know about?
Well, we have November and December, but I'm going to save those for another day. So check us out.
That
I
is a
think you
great
summed
idea.
it up well. Yeah, thank you.
That is what we call in the business a teaser, and a great one from Gina Gregory. Gina, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tyler. Bye.
Appreciate having the Historical Society on, and always appreciate their great events all throughout the year. I'm telling you, you want to check them out. gwbhs.org is the place to go for all that information that you may need. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. Plenty more news and information to get to on the other side. Stay tuned. You're watching and listening to Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear. Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiver.
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important.
And now the same is true in the face of flu.
Influenza has the power to infect millions.
But it's easy to protect yourself, your family, and your community.
The flu vaccine is safe and effective. And with COVID-19 still around,
it's essential. Together we can face flu season head on.
Visit michigan.gov/flu.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's live daily news and talk show. I'm Tyler Kieft, alongside co-host Dayan Chaaban. Plenty of fun coming up this week in Keego Harbor. Of course, we've already discussed the Gino's Pre-Dream Cruise car show, now happening on Wednesday night. But just down the street on Friday, it's the final edition of the Keego Harbor Block Party for the summer of 2023. Friday, August 18th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. You'll see signs like this all throughout the heart of the lakes. That posted on Facebook recently by Planning Commissioner Karen Meebrod. Rose Sorter Park, that is behind City Hall in Keego Harbor. Plenty of fun out there. There'll be activities, music, food trucks, as well as local art from the Art Sale Collective at this event. The music, they're going to be a local band, Bugs Beto, and The Good Stuff performing at this month's event, and food truck for all you taco lovers. Move Taco Tuesday to Friday this week in Keego Harbor. Bueno Tacos will be available for purchase for food at the Keego Harbor Block Party. Hope you join us out there August 18th. That is Friday at 5:30 p.m. in Keego Harbor. Now, transitioning out of Greater West Bloomfield and into Oakland County news, Dayan Chaaban has information on a rise in pedestrian crashes. Dayan, we talked recently with First Lieutenant Mike Shaw from the Michigan State Police about the new distracted driving law, the hands-free driving law, and trying to reduce some of these pedestrian crashes, and the numbers presenting that these sort of things are definitely a need as pedestrian crashes on the rise.
That is true, Tyler. So unfortunately, one of the main reasons is actually cell phone use and distracted driving. As they mentioned in that report, that there was around 164 tickets for distracted driving related to cell phone use. And this is the main cause for pedestrian crashes, whether it's from the pedestrian or from the driver. So Tyler, in this year, Oakland County police officers have responded to 6 hit and run incidents, and which is like double from 2022, according to that report. Many of them was from distracted driving, as I said earlier. A lot of these resulted in tragic fatalities to the pedestrian, of course. A lot of them are also hit and runs. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of them in the past few weeks. So, Tyler, there's a lot of things that people can do, and a lot of things that not only drivers can do, but also these pedestrians and cyclists can do. And one of them is just be careful, whether you are crossing the road or you are driving. Do not be distracted at all. This is a very crucial advice that everybody should take into consideration. And they should also, Tyler, here's the thing. So we're going into September and there's schools coming up, and police authorities and statistics, they realize that there are trends. The trend rises of fatalities, of crashes or pedestrian crashes and cycling crashes. It rises during September as schools start. So it is very crucial. We talked about this a few weeks ago about distracted driving and how to advise your kids also, and schoolgoers, your students, to just like be careful when crossing the streets. Do not hold your phone. Make sure you're looking left and right before crossing the streets. And for the distracted drivers, I know that it's not just about the tickets. You also have to watch out for other people's lives as you are driving.
Yeah, distracted driving, a cause for concern, and certainly related to some of these pedestrian crashes that are increasing in our community and the local area. Distracted walking, something also noted by police and other law enforcement in their reports on these as well. So definitely you want to stay alert, whether you're driving or whether you're walking, knowing that there's so many distractions out there that can get in the way, and that these pedestrian crashes do happen and often end up being deadly. And some good news down at the Woodward Cruise. You have a chance to win a classic car yourself and cruise off in a new vehicle at this weekend's Woodward Dream Cruise. Diane, give us the details on that. As Detroit Public Radio, a local station, is showcasing a legendary car, and then they're raffling that off.
Yes, Tyler, that's true. So with the 2023 Woodward Dreams Cruise just around the corner, the WDET 101.9 FM is going to showcase a legendary car, which is a 1964 Dodge 880 custom convertible at the Pleasant Ridge Memorial Park. They're going to showcase it first, and they're going to offer it to be raffled. The raffling tickets are $101.90. So all these proceeds are going to go to WET. This car was actually donated to the public radio station by Mary Wilson, which was the second owner of the car. It was a gift to her. So she decided to donate it, and all the proceeds are going to go to the public radio station, WDET. So some lucky winners, Tyler. I guess they're going to win this. Whoever is going to win this car, Tyler, I should note that it's going to be the third owner of this car. It's only the third owner. So it was bought back in an auction back in 1994, and it only has 22,000 miles on it. So it's not only a legendary car, it's been it's just amazing. So it's not been driven a lot. It's brand new practically, and it's a 1964 classic. So whoever the lucky winner is, then props to them.
Well-maintained video, just on well-maintained vehicle, just on its third owner, and you have a chance to win that through our friends at a fellow public radio station, WDET 101.9, over the weekend at the Woodward Dream Cruise. Diane, just another minute or so left. Want to go over the story too. If you're down at the Woodward Dream Cruise, certainly if you're there with your classic cars or your exotic or luxury vehicles, be on the lookout. There are thieves that have been attempting to break into cars or even steal cars down at the Woodward Dream Cruise or in that general area. Give us the details on this, what people should be on the lookout for.
Yes, Tyler. So unfortunately, just on Sunday, there was a Hellcat Challenger owner. He fell victim to a would-be thief. He wasn't able to steal the car, but it resulted in severe damages to the car. Police authorities, West Bloomfield Police authorities, are still on the lookout The unfortunate incident, Tyler, it happened in a public place. So it happened, and it even happened at 5 p.m. So it was in a public place at TG Maxx store in a parking lot. Unfortunately, nobody reported it. So what the Bloomfield Police and Oakland County Police are trying to put out there is, if you see anything suspicious, anybody going to anything suspicious out in the public areas, just call them on 248-433-7755. So be on the lookout. For all the Dream Cruise car owners, just make sure your car is visible to you at most times of the day. I know you cannot watch for your car all times of the day, but make sure it's visible to you. Make sure you just reserve it just until this is over, because there are would-be thieves that are targeting Dream Cruise vehicles right now.
Yeah, good to keep a lookout on your vehicle, keep your vehicle locked, valuables out of sight. We had a great interview with John Fitzgerald back in July on that July 10th, CivicCenterTV.com for more of that. Plenty of more news and information all throughout the greater West Bloomfield community all day long and all week long. Stay with us right here on The Splash Live.